We're going to install the Altirra Atari 8-bit computer emulator, fix the video scaling, set up the controls, and be playing in less than 2 minutes. Click the first link in the description and download Altirra 4.01, and you want the x86 x64 file. Just so we have a game to test with, click the second link and download Miner 2049er. You want the .atr file, which is an Atari disk image. Now I'm going to unzip Altirra and move the ROM file into that directory. Then run altirra64.exe. Click the X to close the first time setup. It automatically sets up an NTSC Atari XL with fast loading, which is exactly what we want. Now, to make the video sharp, we're going to go to View, Filter Mode, and select Point. Then we're going to go to View, Stretch Mode, and pick Preserve Aspect Ratio, Fixed Multiples Only. Now we're going to set the controls under Input, Input Mappings, and you probably want to select these two options, Arrow Keys to Joystick and Gamepad to Joystick. The first one maps your keyboard arrow keys and left control to the joystick, and the second one will take any gamepad and map the left analog and the D-pad to the joystick and any of the face buttons to the button. This is probably good enough for pretty much anyone, but I'm sure you can figure out how to make your own control bindings otherwise. Now to launch a game, we're just going to go to File, Boot Image, and we're going to pick that Miner 2049er ATR file. And to go full screen, you can either press Alt-Enter, or you can go to View, Full Screen. One important thing to note is that your function keys map to some unique keys on the Atari keyboard. So F2 is Start, F3 is Select, F4 is Option, and F5 is System Reset. So you might need to press F2 to start the game. One final thing though, the Altirra OS will support most games, but for some games you might need an official Atari BIOS. So if your game doesn't run or it tells you that you need an official Atari BIOS when you try to run it, this is what you need to do. Click the third link and download the OpenEmu BIOS pack. Open this zip and you want to copy the first 4 files alphabetically into your Altirra folder, the 5200 ROM and the 3 Atari ROMs. Then in Altirra, go to System, Configure System, click Firmware, and then Firmware Manager. These are all the operating systems Altirra can use. To add the 4 that we just unzipped, click Scan, and point it to wherever those BIOS files are. In my case, I just put them in the Altirra directory. And here you can see it found 4 new firmware images. Now click OK, and this screen is where you can choose your operating system. So you could choose the Altirra OS, or you could choose the official Atari OS. And one final compatibility note, if you go to the System tab, this is where you can choose your hardware type, what computer we're actually emulating. This can be important because by default, Altirra is going to run an Atari XL computer. But the game that we just downloaded, Miner 2049er, if we're using the official BIOS, it's only going to boot on an Atari 400/800 computer. So what you need to remember, if you're having compatibility issues with any game, you want to make sure to check your system type and you want to make sure to check the BIOS you're using. There's other things to check for compatibility issues, such as disabling fast booting or disk drive acceleration under the Acceleration tab here. That's outside scope for this video. This should be more than enough to get you up and running and playing some Atari games. I hope this video helps. Thank you for watching.